It's 12 crazy military training exercises. Military training is not for the faint of heart. You can find military branches throughout the world that perform crazy drills. These drills are done to prepare soldiers for the worst possible scenarios and outcomes that they may encounter throughout their careers. Incredible video footage is out there of soldiers from China's People's Liberation Army performing a deadly game of hot potato. Personnel encircles a hole and passes a live explosive to each other until the last person to touch the bomb throws it in the hole. The group then quickly leaps away from the hole, narrowly avoiding the blast of the explosive. Israeli Defense Force anti-terror units have to be ready for nearly anything in a state that is constantly under a variety of vicious attacks. To prepare for the potential of a terrorist group holding hostages in a tall building, the military branch conducts an exercise in which commandos leap from the top of a Tel Aviv skyscraper and rappel down the side of the building. Dealing with regional terrorism makes the IDF uniquely prepared for situations that U.S. Marines just can't recreate. Consequently, the two branches recently conducted joint exercises to both ready the Americans in their fight against Daesh in the Middle East and ensure cooperation between the two nations' air defense systems in the event of a war. A military exercise called Jade Helm 15 took place in the southwestern United States in mid-2015 that received national attention and had conspiracy theorists accusing the federal government of planning a takeover. The operation had gained attention months before it took place. Plans for the drill began circulating online in March of 2015. Those plans labeled Texas, Utah, and parts of Southern California as hostile territory. In response to those plans and the general concerns of some Texans, Texas Governor Greg Abbott ordered his state guard to monitor the exercise. That decision was widely mocked and seemed a waste of Texas funds that the state could have spent in more constructive ways. Critics, including Jon Stewart of The Daily Show, also found the notion that the Texas State Guard monitoring the drill could have any significant effect on the U.S. military ridiculous. The exercise took place over a 2-month period and concluded quietly in September 2015 without the U.S. government declaring martial law. Cobra Gold is a joint military exercise between the U.S., Thailand, and 33 other countries. The coordinated effort takes place in the Thai jungle and has been occurring annually since Cobra Gold's inception in 1982. Soldiers are required to tear the heads off of chickens with their bare teeth. Personnel learn how to capture and kill cobras before making a meal out of their blood. Cobra Gold is meant to improve coordination between the nations in both hostile and humanitarian efforts. The United States lessened the extent of its participation in Cobra Gold 2015 to show its dissatisfaction of the Thai military coup of 2014. Special forces in Russia have been known to shoot at each other in the chest as a way to prepare for the moment when they are shot in real action. Whether their bulletproof vest fully absorbs the bullet's impact or they are injured, soldiers must be able to return fire immediately and precisely. Russian troops have gained a reputation for being fearless and brave in war, and with training tactics like these, it's easy to see why. A massive, unprecedented group of military exercises took place in northeastern Saudi Arabia earlier this year. The final stage of the exercise featured a 2-hour mock battle that involved fighter jets, helicopters, and tanks. 20 nations, including all 6 members of the Gulf Cooperation Council, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Oman, Qatar, and Kuwait, and 350,000 troops were involved in the exercise. Saudi authorities referred to the maneuvers, which were meant to help combat the growing terrorist threat in the region, as the most important in the region's history. The final week of training for Philippine Navy SEALs tests the soldiers' limits in as many ways as possible. During this diabolical week, soldiers are required to practice target shooting, run 6 miles, and swim 18 miles while intoxicated. They are not allowed to sleep for more than an hour at a time during the week. The lesson to be learned? Never get into a barroom fight with a Philippine Navy SEAL. Hamas security forces displayed their unique skill sets during a police academy graduation ceremony held in Gaza City on September 6th of this year. Formed in 1987, Hamas's main ambition is to establish an Islamic Palestine state to replace Israel. The group has maintained control of the Gaza Strip since 2007, and it is here and in the West Bank where their strength is centered. Human rights groups have routinely condemned their military tactics, which include suicide bombings and rocket attacks, as crimes against humanity, and the U.S. government considers Hamas a foreign terrorist organization. 26 countries, 25,000 international troops, and 45 surface ships were involved in the world's largest maritime exercise, which concluded in early August of this year. The United States, Mexico, India, China, and Australia were a few of the nations involved in this large-scale drill, which took place on the coast of Hawaii and Southern California. The operation allowed the Allies to prepare for potential large amphibious missions. Training missions included amphibious attacks, helicopter raids, and combined armed missions. The exercise, which started in 1971 and is hosted by the U.S. Pacific Fleet, was the 25th to be performed in its history. The training involved with the U.S. Special Forces is incredibly arduous. On their first day, recruits are woken up after 2 hours of sleep and required to perform strength training exercises while being doused in cold water and can only stop when someone quits. After this, they are given small amounts of food and water before working out in the frigidly cold sea in a drill known as surf torture. The Special Forces are currently only open to men. A recently aired BBC series chronicled a training session that involved both men and women and training tactics from the Special Forces around the world. One of the standouts to emerge from this event was Claire Miller, a female doctor who persevered and performed in a way that made some of her male counterparts look like chumps. Miller's success is sure to fuel the debate on whether or not women should be allowed to enter the United States Special Forces. Marine Corps in Taiwan performed this appropriately named military exercise, Road to Heaven. After going through 9 weeks of intense drilling, trainees can only graduate after they leopard crawl through 50 yards of pointy rocks and jagged coral. Along the course, the Marine hopefuls are also required to complete specific exercises while being berated by their supervisors. Shockingly, trainees' families are invited to witness the brutal event, which must make for some great dinner table conversation afterward.
And now for number 1. But first, be sure to subscribe for new videos every day.
Is it any surprise that North Korea and their training tactics can be found at the top of this list? Perhaps the fact that we know anything extensive about the